Hello, everybody. My name is Michelle. Some of you already know me. I was the previous LCP at VU, and throughout my ISEC journey, I've had a lot of positions in ISEC and Austria, and a lot of them connected to design. That's why today I will do a little presentation for you about the basic concepts of design, the basic rules that you need to follow, regardless if you're designing for social media or a poster or web design or even packaging design. These are just basic rules about composition, about layout, about colors and fonts. And of course, then we're gonna design quickly something on Canva so that I can show you a few tips and tricks to make you feel more confident with the program. So what makes a good design? The key elements to that are fonts, colors, and images. And of course, knowing your brand, because every brand has brand guidelines that they follow for all of their designs, making sure that when you see a post on social media, an ad on the streets, a banner on an ad online, you know that this is the brand that they are promoting, even without showing their logos or any specific elements of that product. We're gonna start with good fonts. Fonts really have a meaning and they express exactly what you want to say. A lot of designers love Helvetica because it's a very versatile and very clean and beautiful font that you can use for anything, and it has a lot of different variations from very thin to very bold. So even with one font, using its different variations, you can do a lot of things. And here on the right, you can also see how fonts matter and how, even though it says the same thing, using a different font can have a very, very different message. Here are some combinations of fonts and examples of good fonts. I've also included, of course, some in Cyrillic and some in Latin. And you can see how people can play with fonts, how not only with the thickness of the font, but also with its italic versions. And we have some very clean sans serif fonts, which are the ones that you can see on the top. Sans serif means that they don't have, sans means no or don't. They don't have these little I don't know, design elements on the side. So they're very clean, very straight lines. And even though they might look boring when you first look at them, they're very versatile and they're very good for very clean and modern designs. Fonts can also have a lot of other different elements. You can see that this font here has little white spots, different design elements. It has different variations. Some are sans serif and very straight lines, very your standard font. But then this font also has a variation that is more cursive that you can add, and it makes the whole composition look really beautiful. And then of course you have the more cursive or serif fonts, which are more design based. And here in this example, you can see it is used to represent one word, because if you have the whole text in this design, it will be very, very hard, or in this font, it will be very hard to read. And here they have a good example of combining fonts, a font that is very cursive, very illustrative, combined with a very simple, clean font, which is the PT Sans font. And Lobster is the name of the font, by the way. Here I have also an example how you can use fonts and letters in a whole design, even with adding photos to it and more visuals to it. Of course, ISEC has its official font, which is Lato, which is also a very versatile font. It has a lot of different variations, from very thin, which we call hairline, to a very heavy and black font in italic, but also in its regular versions. Secondary fonts that you can use, these are some that I suggest, and you can see them later on the slides. An official secondary font for ISEC is Railway, but you can use a lot of other fonts like Mont and anything else that you think will go well with Lato. And here is an example of some of the fonts that I have mentioned here. They are a lot more cursive, handwritten fonts. You can see they have elements. They look like they're written with a marker or a crayon, or however you want to call it. And this is how you can combine Lato with, because Lato, as you can see, is a very, very simple font. And you can combine it with a bit more fun stuff. A lot of fonts, actually, which I have here, is Northwell. You can see Northwell, how it looks like written. This is how it's used. But Northwell and a lot of other fonts come with packages with additional elements. Of course, you have the letters, you have the punctuations, but there are also these little swishes. Not every font comes with that, but it's cool when they do, because you have this additional design element that you can add. A little bit about composition. Less is always more, especially if you're designing for even a poster or for social media, magazine designs and everything like that. It's always good to have less than overcrowd your posts or flyers with information and with text. And we're not talking just about the amount of text and how much is written, but also there should always be white space. And white space doesn't necessarily have to be in the color white, but what we call white space is all of the space that isn't used by any design. It doesn't have any elements, it doesn't have text, it doesn't have icons, photos, anything like that. And your design needs to breathe. So the more white space you use, the easier it is on the person's eye to grab their attention and to know where to look and what to look at first. And a very, very important rule is don't use more than 2 to 3, maximum 3 fonts in one design, because it will get very crowded and very messy in your design. So, like you see, for example, we have the lobster and then a more simple font. You can use the different variations of a font to make, the design more interesting, but don't add 500 different fonts. Here, for example, you might think, oh, but there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fonts, but they are the same font, just it's different variations, and that's why it looks good and the design still seems seamless and it still looks pretty. Then about composition, the biggest, of course, words that you have and the boldest ones will be the thing that your reader or your viewer will notice first. So you will read the big headline first. Our eyes naturally go to the second biggest element on the design, which is the subheading on top. And then our eyes go to the smaller body of text below, which is important to know when you're designing, especially for social media, for example, because the most important thing that you want to say should always be bold, should always be big. We scroll on social media really quickly, so if you want to grab people's attention, even if you have more things to say, make sure that your main point and your attention grabber is bolded, it's big, and we can see it on our small screens. Now we're gonna talk a bit about colors, and I hope you all know the ISIC blue, which is what I've been using so far in this presentation. All colors have a hex, an RGB, and a SMIC. I think that's how you pronounce SMIC. Data. RGB stands for red, green, blue, which is the combination that we use for web colors. So everything that you see on your screen, all the colors were created with RGB. SMIC stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Don't ask me why black is K. I also don't know, but that's how they decided to make it. And those are all the print colors that we use. And these colors are different. So even if you put ISIC blue, these are the numbers for ISIC blue in RGB. When you print the ISIC blue, it will look different because the colors that we have on our displays and online are very different. Well, not very different. Some actually could be very different when you print them. It's actually shocking. But they're different from the colors that we can see and what our eyes can perceive when printed and the colors that we have in real life. So when you are designing, always make sure that the space that you're designing, it doesn't matter if it's in Photoshop, in Illustrator, or in Canva, make sure that you're designing in the color space for RGB. If you're designing for social media, web design, or anything that will stay online. And when you're designing for print, make sure that your color space of your work file is always in SMIC so that you're sure that you see the colors more or less how they will look also printed. That is very important. Color of the ear from Pantone has a very big importance in design in general. I'm not talking just about graphic design. The color of the ear is used in fashion as well, in all areas of design in traditional art as well. And this year's it's Peach Fuzz. It's a very pretty peachy color, more on the orange side, and I'm sure that if you pay attention throughout this year, you will see that a lot of brands are incorporating it into their branding in some way. You'll see a lot of clothes coming up with this color, maybe in summer. And Pantone has a big influence in general on the color and design industry. Color also has a different meaning depending how you use it, just how I showed you for different fonts. You can see that on this picture on the left, depending on the colors that we use, it looks like a gray day on the sea, and this simple triangle looks like an iceberg. That's what we would perceive it as. But if we have the blue colors of the sea with the blue sky and a black triangle, it looks more like a shark's fin coming up from the waves. On the right side as well, it's literally just two colors interchanged. On one side, it would look like more of a bomb, and on the other one, because we're used to seeing red for Christmas, it would look more like a Christmas bubble ornament. Color plays a lot of roles, not just in design. We see color everywhere, especially in movies. It's one of my favorite things. There's a lot of websites where you can find the color schemes of movies, because those color schemes represent a different meaning. As you can see from this scene of Alice in Wonderland, a very magical movie, very colorful about Wonderland, you see that the colors are so bright, so colorful, because even if you see just these colors and not the picture above, of course, maybe you won't know that it's from this movie, but you'll be able to feel the vibe and what this movie is like and what they want to say. While on the right side with Maleficent, just by looking at the colors, you will know the vibe of the scene, that it's a scary movie, darker scene, darker environment. Colors can also be combined in gradients. This is a big design element in recent years. Designers love gradients, so you can definitely use that in your designs as well. Just be careful of what gradients actually work well, and we're gonna go talk about that later in a bit. Here is a fun fact. These are all logos of fast food chains, and something that designers noticed in the recent years is that they all have reds, yellows, oranges. And the reason for that is that it was scientifically discovered that these colors make us feel hungry. So you see that McDonald's, KFC, Pizza Hut, Burger King, all of them not only have these colors in their logos, in their packaging, in their branding, they also have their interior design like that. So when you go into those stores, even if you're not that hungry, you will start feeling hunger and therefore buy more. So this is how color influences us in our everyday life. Besides the Isaac blue, Isaac has also secondary colors. This is the ones that we use, and you can see on the right how we use them also in gradients. Like I said, it's a big design element in recent years. These are beautiful, bright colors. All of them can be used in all of our designs, but hopefully you also know that specific colors from these are also for our products, but we'll go into that later. These are two websites that I want to talk to you about that I think will be very useful if you want to learn more about color theory or color palettes or colors in general. First one is the color wheel from Canva, actually. I have it open right here. Basically how it works, colors opposite on the color wheel should work well together in design. And if you don't know exactly which ones are opposite of each other, this color wheel helps you. So if you want to do something in blue, opposite color would be this green here, or lime green. So technically, based on the color theory, these colors should look well together if you use them in design. Of course, one color should be the more prominent one, and maybe use the yellow for small elements and details there. And here you have the hex code that you can use. Hex code are amazing. I don't think I mentioned them before, but they're very easy because you can just copy them and paste them in any design tool that you're using, and it will give you exactly that color. And on this website, it's cool because you can also get a monochromatic if you want not so much contrast in your design. You can check how it looks like with 3 colors. It's again opposite on the color wheel. The 3 ones should look well together. And you also have even 4. And here is the second website that I want to show you as a resource, which is Coolers or Colors, however you want to call it. I really love using this for generating color palettes because it's super fun, even just to see what colors you will get. we can click here on Start Generator, and by just clicking the spacebar on your keyboard, you get different color palettes. Like this is very, I don't know, Thanksgiving-y to me. We have different ones, and let's say you liked this color, disliked green, but not the rest of them. You can lock it and then continue clicking until you get more colors that you like. Let's say we like this purple, so let's see what else looks good. And Colors is made also with the color theory, so all of the colors that you get should look well together. Very important also when considering color palettes is that they have contrast between each other. And contrast and accessibility you can check always online. But what I mean by that is that if you only have light colors and you don't want to, and black is not one of them, for text, for example, text would not be able to be read well. We have this dark purple now, which I think if we put text over this green, it will look okay. But if we put this brown on this green, or even the green on the brown, the text would not really be eligible, even bolded and with big letters. You can add more, you can delete if you want, if you only need 4 colors, everything like that. Moving on with the presentation, we're going to talk quickly also about images. Not every design has to have images. A lot of beautiful designs are just element, even just text can be made in a really cool design. But if you do want to use photos in your designs, be it for posters or for social media, my suggestion is to have a lot of people. Why people? Because we're designing for ISIC, and we are very connected with people. We want to develop leadership in people. We are creating experiences for people. So showing authentic and relatable content that people can connect to is what we do in ISIC and what works well for our brand. If you're going to use stock photos, use more authentic, smiling people, on an experience, on an adventure, anything that is connected to the message that you want to say. And what I believe are the best photos, if you want to use photos, is photos from experiences of our EPs, which are these 2 girls on the bottom. It doesn't get more authentic than that. Even if they're not like the most high quality, amazing photos from composition point, these are the photos that make us want to experience this ourselves. If you're promoting places or opportunities for GV or GTA, use interesting photos, showing the feeling of adventure and inspiration, something that even when you're scrolling online or on Instagram, that's something that would make you stop and take a few seconds to look at this photo and maybe even consider going abroad yourself. Do's and don'ts, again, just quickly: very organic, authentic, and high quality photos, and don't do stock images that have watermarks on them or that aren't related to the topic, because your images are also telling a story. And now we're gonna go into knowing your brand, which I hope you are all aware of the Blue Book, which I don't know if you still use this term, but in my time, we used to call it the ISIC Bible. And the Blue Book is not just our brand guidelines. It's not just a book that will tell you, use this logo with this color and design like this and blah, blah, blah. It is a very, very powerful tool for you to even know the ISIC brand and the messages that you want to express. Here we have the content, and we're going into, of course, our why, our who, our how, our what, which is important to know, especially if you're in marketing. And it's not just about when you're designing and the messages that you have when you're designing, but even when you're talking to people. The whole Blue Book is filled with keywords and key phrases that if you just know by heart or even change them a bit to match more of your marketing style, it's a really, really powerful tool for you to make it just easier to know how to present and market ISIC. Here we have our brand overview, the personality, our target, our brand tone, our audience, of course. And here is where we go into the brand assets, which I'm going to go more in detail because we're talking about design. We're talking about our brand name. This is very important. I've been seeing a lot of our partners, specifically PR or marketing partners, really get it wrong. Please, if you're working with PR or anyone else that is promoting us, always make sure that they make sure that they call us Isaac in. We are Isaac in Vienna UV, Isaac in Graz, Isaac in Vienna VU, Isaac in Linz. We're not Isaac Linz, we're not Isaac Graz, Isaac VU. That is very important. I know a lot of them make it wrong, but it's very important for you to make sure that your partners are also following our brand guidelines. This is our logo. You can only use the logo in the blue, black, or white version with these backgrounds. Don't stretch the logo, don't change its color, don't turn it around, don't add additional elements or shadows or anything like that to it. Only use it in the form and shape that you find it in. Here are also some powered by Isaac logos and how you can use them. I love using the bookmark because it takes very little space on the design and it doesn't disrupt the design too much. But here you can find all the information how you can use that. Here is our Isaac human or Isaac man and how you can use him as well. Don't stretch him, don't change its color, don't turn him around, don't put him in a very busy background. Here, like I said, our colors, our secondary colors, and our Isaac blue. Our typefaces, Lato as official brand font, and Railway as a secondary one, or in the Blue Book it also states that we use it for our programs, so for our exchange programs. And here we go into the Isaac portfolio, which you will get more information, again, more key phrases and key information that you need to know when you promote or you work with YouthSpeak Forum, or the whole YouthSpeak project in general, if you work with Heading for the Future. Here you can see it. You have, again, design information with the colors, with the fonts, with the logos, but also the key phrases. This is very useful also for PR. If you're sending materials to partners, especially written or copywriting, it's very important to know these key phrases. Same for YouthSpeak, very cool color name, Astro Purple. And of course, our programs themselves. It's very important to know. It also has a history of the logos and what they mean, which is very important if you ever want to go into designing logo. Your logo should always have a meaning. And yes, like I said, you can find pretty much all the information here. I want to stress also on copywriting. The Blue Book is filled with key phrases and key information that you can copy paste. You can change a bit to match more your writing style, but it is all in here. Whoops. And you don't need to worry or question how can you actually promote this. Branded campaigns and co-branded campaigns, these are some principles, especially if you're working with PR or BD, it's important to know these things. And of course, resources. Everything is linked here. You can find all the logos, all the fonts, and everything that you need in here. There is also even a PR press kit that I hope will be useful for you. Then, coming to the last part of my presentation, I personally design on Adobe Creative Cloud. You can see probably down here, or actually maybe you don't see, I think I'm sharing just the window, but I do use Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, After Effects, all of these programs, because I use them in my professional life and also for my own passion projects, and for me those are the most powerful tool for design. But in recent years, one tool that has my whole heart and it's so easy to use and so accessible and makes design so much more fun for people and not so stressful is Canva. And I know a lot of you probably know Canva and have used Canva before, but I just want to share some tips and tricks, show you how I implement these design key elements that I showed you, and hopefully it will be helpful and inspiring for you. Something that's great for Canva is that Canva already comes with a lot of templates. There are a lot of people that put templates in here. You yourself can actually create templates for Canva. And most of these templates, if not even all of them, already follow these basic rules and guidelines that I showed you about design. So let's say we want to design something for Instagram. We can already go just on the template for Instagram, and it's very daunting to see just a white page, with where do I start, background text, how do I add all of these things. And that's what I love about Canva, is because you can write any keywords that you want and you already have templates that are completely customizable or almost every element is customizable. Canva is not that powerful yet, but there are a lot of cool elements. Like I said, main font, something more cursive to look more fun, photos in the background that are good, authentic, everything like that. And writing any keyword, it will give you the design that you're looking for. You can even write keywords that aren't really connected to what you want to design, but you can at least get some elements and some inspiration. And it takes a lot of playing around, getting to know Canva and seeing how it works and how the software works. It gets smarter the more you use it, and it gets even more fun. And it already has a lot of cool templates of posts that you've probably seen online, where you can implement them, use them in iSick, or even for your own personal things that you want to design. You can definitely add it. And like I said, everything is customizable, so it's pretty cool. Oh, also, maybe something that you noticed when I'm clicking around here, I do have the premium version of Canva. And yes, the Adobe Creative Suite is very expensive, maybe not even worth it, but I really, really recommend you splurge on the premium version of Canva because it has so much more power to it. Or ask your MC if they have access and they can add you to their team, so that you have access to the premium version, because it's really, really worth it. It has so many more cool features and it takes it to another level. But now I actually want to show you how I made this design on Canva. Since I'm also currently the project manager for Youth Speak Forum, I'm on a very Youth Speak Forum wave. So of course I created a Youth Speak Forum design. So let me show you how we got to this stage. Of course, I'm gonna start with a background. I hate working on a white background, so I always start with that. And I wanna do a more dark, moody design. So we're gonna take a black, but I never take pure black colors. Also, I never take pure white colors, but that is also kind of a design rule, but also a personal preference. You can see that it's not exactly black, it's a bit above. It doesn't have to be a very, very noticeable difference, but in reality, it makes a huge difference. Then let's actually add our image here. And Canva already has a very, very big photo gallery. You can always add your own elements into Canva, of course, but let's see if, oh, I already searched for it. So basically I searched for statue and I went into photos. There's also graphics if you're looking for something more illustrative, but I want to add that photo. And I'm trying to look for something that, you know, is what I want. I want someone listening or saying something. You know, Youth Speak Forum is all about speaking up and also making sure that youth voices are being heard. So I want to find something like that. And here is exactly the photo that I need. But if you can see, there is the background of the photo itself. So what do we do? Like, it's not exactly the color that I need. So Canva has a really cool feature, which is remove background, and the background is completely gone. Fun fact, the remove background feature on Canva was actually created by an Austrian startup called Kaleido. I think that was their name at least. Nice. Perfect. I'm gonna put it right here. I'm not sure it's not exactly the same position, but it doesn't really need to be. I'm fine with it. Perfect. Then we're gonna go to text and add our heading, and I want it to say speak up. I don't want to post with a lot of information. I just want it to be eye-catching, and then the information can be in the caption for the copywriters. Of course, this font is not at all the fonts that we use for Youth Speak Forum or in iSick, so I'm gonna go and use Montserrat, a very beautiful font. I think I presented it also in the presentation. This is the main font that we're using for Youth Speak Forum, and I'm gonna make it as black and big as possible because that is what I want. I want it to be the focus. I want it to be eye-catching. So let's put it here. Perfect. In position, you can also make sure that everything is centered, because that is very important. If you're not sure about composition or where text should be, having it centered in the middle of the page is always good, if you don't have, of course, a lot of other elements there. And I can't leave it white. The statue is white, it doesn't really pop up. So let's go and add this green. Of course, You'd Speak Forum official color is purple, but like I said, we can add secondary colors, and this is the color that we use right now for a secondary for You'd Speak Forum. A quick tip, I already have it open, but if you write ISEC colors in Google, the first website that you have is all the ISEC colors, and you can just click and it's copied to your clipboard, and you can just paste the hex code over here and you have the color that you wanted. Perfect. I actually want the italic version here, and then we're gonna copy and paste this font a few times like this. Doesn't have to be perfect right now, making sure that they're more or less evenly spaced. Actually, this one I can make sure that is perfectly in the center to help with our composition. I can't see myself. I probably have a very funny face while I'm concentrating on designing. Perfect. Okay, this is good enough. And now to get this gradient effect, it's actually very simple. Maybe you already figured it out, but I'm just gonna lower the opacity a bit. And we have five texts. So I'm just gonna do intervals of 20. You can definitely just eyeball it and see what works best. This we're gonna do 40. And this one is not that visible, so it doesn't matter. So it's gonna be 20. And I wanna take all of this and send it backwards. Of course, all of this you can do with keyboard shortcuts, but I just want to show you how I do it so it's more visible. So we have, in my opinion at least, a very cool post for Instagram. It's very eye-catching. If you scroll, I think it will grab your attention. It has the main tone and voice that we want to represent with You'd Speak Forum, which is to speak up. And if you're scrolling and you see, this, oh, what do I need to speak up for? You're gonna check the caption and you're gonna find out more information. If you don't want to put too much information in the caption, you can always do it a carousel and have the next slide with a bit more information, of course, well designed. And actually a tip if you're designing for social media, carousels show up on your feed 2 times. Maybe you've noticed it yourself when you're scrolling, which is a really cool design, or like a really cool bug, I think, in Instagram that a lot of social media managers use, making sure that the first slide is very eye-catching, but also the second one, so that when it shows up a second time on the feed, you'll be sure that at least then it will catch the viewer's attention. But this is not completely done. We're missing the logos. We're missing, what is this brand? What do I need to speak up for? And these are the logos that we need to use for You'd Speak Forum. Of course, the Powered by ISEC logo, I will just copy and paste it here, but I also have it in my uploads, in my elements. You can just drag and drop to add elements to Canva from your computer. And I'm gonna copy and paste it here. Canva is very cool because you can have your whole Instagram feed, all of your posts or all of your poster designs in one space. I can add 1,000 more if I want. At my work, I think we have one Canva file with over 500 posts, and this way you can always make sure that your logos are on the same place all the time. It really bugs me when I see that the logos are not perfectly the same on each post, so Canva makes this a lot easier. So with only a few steps, we already have a pretty cool post. I actually want to show you a few other things that you can do, and we're gonna send this lady to the back a bit, not that back. I'm gonna get rid of this text. I'm honestly not sure what more I can give you as tips, because it's all about playing around with it. I didn't wake up one day and know these tips. I just, you know, played around with it, wanted to see how good is actually Canva. And that's how I learned all these things. Here you can see I'm still playing around and trying to figure out what font size will look best, because I want to have more or less a square of speak up as a text. I want them to be nice. Here in the letter and line spacing, I'm gonna lower the line spacing so that they're closer to each other. Kind of like this, maybe. Make it a bit bigger. And in Canva, you don't need to always change now the size. I can just make it a bit bigger. Maybe even a bit bigger. We're going to center it. Perfect. And what is this? Yeah, I have the speak up. I have the main point that I want to say. But you can't see the woman in the background. It doesn't really make sense to have it like this. So we're gonna send this to the... first, actually. Let's make a copy. I'm doing Control-C. I hope you have, or you know, these commands on your keyboard. We're gonna send this text to the back, and I'm gonna Command-V and paste it and align it to be in the same place, just to be sure it's centered. And in the effects panel, Canva has really cool effects. They're not that powerful as you would use on Photoshop or Illustrator, but there's still a lot of things that you can do with them. Right now, I'm gonna add this line, and it already looks pretty cool to me. You have the main point, you can see the speak up, but you can also see more of the design for of the statue. And you have this really cool effect where it looks like she is going through the letters, and a lot of designers use this element. It's so simple, but it makes a huge difference. The only maybe downside effect to Canva is that you cannot add more effects on this all on the same layer. I changed my stuff here. But it's easily fixable with just copy and pasting again. We're gonna send this to the back a bit, and we can even add a glow effect, which I overuse sometimes, but I really like the way it looks like. Right now I don't like it. You can see the line is a different color, but if you're okay with that, it works. And it still looks really cool. It has this neon vibe. It looks like the light looks really cool on the dark background, and you can really play a lot with that. And I think that is everything I wanted to show you. Like I said, you can play around with all of these effects. They are really cool. There is so many things that you can do in Canva, and just design to your heart's desire. And I'm sure that I will be seeing a lot of cool designs from all of you guys soon. I fucked up the design a bit, but you know what I mean. You know what I wanted to do. And like I said, try to get the premium version, because most of these, especially for example, I think the edit photo is a premium version. How do you call it? Tool. In the edit photos, there's a lot of other cool things that you can do. There's a magic edit right now where you can do a lot of cool things. A magic eraser where you can just delete some parts of the photo, which takes a long while for some reason. But yeah, for example, like this, we don't want to do that though. Well, anyway, we did it. Control-Z, and it's all good. So this was all from my side. You can always reach out to me. I should have put my contact info here, but you can always reach out to me, and I would love to design with you, help you with designs. You can always talk to me about art, and we can always get together. And if you need this education for your team leaders, for your members, always reach out to me, and I would love to support you guys in your design journey. And design is very fun, it's very creative, and from my experience, Icicers are the most creative people, and I would love to see more of you joining NST and joining the design teams or marketing teams in your LCs and creating cool things together. And see you soon, and I hope this was helpful for you, and have a nice rest of your education.